Welcome to Chat with PAK, where we're changing the inner city one family at a time. I'm your host, Yuri Solomon, along with our president, Wilford Dorton, and a host of PAK pastors around the table. And so what we're going to do, we're going to let these pastors introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into one of our hot topics for the day. All right, let's start with our president.
Hello everybody, Wilford Dorton, Equivalent Bible Fellowship, and it's really good to have you along.
Well, how y'all doing? I'm Pastor Ralph Crowder, Club Creek New Life Union Baptist Church, and I have to say it, I'm here with another pastor friend of mine. He's gonna tell you, but I am from Piney Point, Texas. All right.
Yeah, you gotta talk about that Piney Point.
All right.
And I'm Pastor Harold Marshall from Abundant Harvest Church. I pastor Abundant Harvest Church in the heart of Piney Point, Texas.
And good afternoon, I'm Eric Cozy, Cooper Bible Fellowship. Welcome.
All right, now I'm Yuri Solomon, pastor of New Life Baptist Church in the heart of Sunnyside, right there, Wilmington and Cullen. Y'all come see us at 10 a.m.
Hey, we got to tell them the Hartfield boy.
We're hard football, man.
10 a.m. Ernest, there's our cameraman right there. Introduce yourself, Ernest.
Hello, my name is Ernest Parker. I am the video production personnel for Jesus Alpha and Omega Ministry. I am here as a facilitator for putting out videos on YouTube, Facebook, and I am also a member of the
Ernest is the man, but he used to being behind the camera.
Yeah, Past 60.
Right. I'm working with the Bible Fellowship Ministries, and I am glad to be here.
All right, we want you to see him because nothing works without him.
Yeah.
All right.
By Joey.
All right, so we've been talking in the last few broadcasts about who we are and kind of reintroducing ourselves to the community, our listening audience, and we talked about the kingdom agenda and what does it mean to take that kingdom agenda into the home. And so this broadcast, we're going to concentrate on really the heart of, since we use that term, the heart, but the very kernel of what we do in terms of the teaching that makes a person into what God wants them to be. And of course it's biblical, but we have what we call 5 core values. And so we're going to be discussing those today. And so we're gonna let our president kind of break it down so we can get down to those core values.
Okay, good. So the thing we need to keep in mind that if we're going to change the inner city, one family at a time, then it is crucial to recognize that in the inner city there are 2 sets of values.
All right.
You have achiever values.
All right.
And you have non-achiever values.
All right.
Right? Achiever values are the values that everyone uses to carry out their day-to-day existence. They're trying to achieve their visions. They may be trying to achieve growing or getting funds for their kids to go to college. They may try to achieve with getting a new home, a new car. These are values that they have to have in order to make that happen. You cannot have achiever values if you are not considered valuable. The core values are what's used to move you from not being valuable to becoming valuable. And the value that you...
And it's valuable in the eyes of other people. It makes you useful.
That's what we're saying.
Yes, that's important.
It's very important.
You may be, I'm sure you're valuable to yourself.
Yeah. But that's only as good as you pay you. Because the values are illustrated based on how much money you get from where you go. And so when it's time for you to go to work, when you go to work, they may give you entry-level funding. Entry-level funding is tied to the fact that they have no idea what your value is.
Right. So you're not supposed to just jump into McDonald's and get $20 an hour.
That is non-achiever. That's a non-achiever value philosophy. That's what non-achievers go down to McDonald's and get $15 an hour. That's not an achiever value perspective. Because there's a lot of hard work that goes into being valuable.
Right,
And so I make the argument all the time, can I go and sell Snicker bars for $20? You know, while I love Snickers, nobody's gonna buy them for $20 because Snickers don't pack a $20 value. So when we start taking a look at our value, we have to take a look at what makes us valuable.
right,
And what makes us valuable is the values that we had that come out of the Bible, we call biblical reasoning, but the values that come out of that are values that's tied to our personal behaviors.
Right.
And once our personal behavior is tied to Christ, because Christ can give us increasing value that ties itself to our identity, so that when we're challenged, we don't lose the value.
Right,
The
right.
value is a part of us.
Right.
And when the value becomes a part of us, those who have money for increased value don't find it risky,
Yeah,
especially of those of us who are of color, coming out of the hood. So when my mentality or my behavior or my reasoning is tied to my values, then the value is going to come out through my communication.
right,
And so, you know, the question becomes like the person that goes on the job and one person is doing the time clock, the card. Well, a person with value and integrity, we're going to talk about those core values in a minute, they won't let you do it. Because they recognize that it's not a value, especially when the ownership finds out that somebody's punching everybody's car.
and
They will.
and you're not there.
And you're not there. So let me give you the 5 core values, and then we'll discuss them as your leads us. Because you know I'll get off track in a minute. Number 1 is integrity, doing right because it's right. And that value is important because people want to leave you and know that the things that they want done is going to happen.
Right,
They don't have to watch it. Number 2, servanthood. Servanthood is making sure that you help everybody get to be the best they can be, no strings attached.
right,
And so, you know, that's a biblical value that comes out of Matthew chapter 5. When Matthew said, be ye perfect as your Father is perfect. That whole text is talking about if they ask you for your cloak, give them your coat.
yeah,
If they ask you for your rope, give them something extra. He said, give them something extra in order for them to see your value. Then the value they're going to see is that you look like your dad.
Yeah.
Your father that's in heaven, you don't look like everybody else. But that means your value go up. We, as a people, have a problem helping other folk get to be better.
Yeah.
Because we think they're going to steal our job.
yeah,
And not recognizing that we're giving you kingdom values, your eternal perspective is going to show you God will reward you.
Yeah.
And you can't beat those rewards.
right,
The next value is stewardship. Stewardship is taking care of other people's things as if it's yours. And so instead of someone lets you use their car that's on half a tank, stewardship says you might want to wash it, vacuum it, and bring it back with a quarter of a tank more. And so the stewardship element is how would you treat your car, and we may have some questions about that.
Yeah.
For those who are moving out of non-achiever values, and you used to having your girlfriend's car. And you don't wash it or anything, you just put it up and get out.
On your own car and never change the oil. That's why you need somebody else's car.
So we might want to say that,
yeah,
so that if you are where we are, you need to increase your value. The value
I would tell my son, drive my car better than you drive yours.
Yeah.
Because he speeds everywhere in his car.
yeah,
So it is important that you recognize that we're talking about increasing your value. So if you're not treating yours as best you should, then what should happen is you need some stewardship investment
right,
in
right,
your business. The next one is faithfulness.
right,
Being true to whatever you say. We have a problem there because we come from the perspective that I don't have to be faithful. I'm only as faithful as it's important to me.
right,
I may not be faithful to the agenda, I may not be faithful to my wife, it's only what I want to be faithful to.
Yeah.
And everybody else just has to understand that. That is not a value.
right,
Faithfulness is when you are true to whatever your intent is, and that intent must be connected to God's will.
yeah,
As everything should be, but I need to say that because Jesus is the one who demonstrated faithfulness by going to the cross.
Yeah, right.
And the cross is very painful. So sometimes faithfulness teaches us that we have to go past the stuff that's just convenient,
Right.
to stuff that could be painful, but our value increases when the painfulness doesn't stop us from doing what we should be doing.
Right.
And then finally, truthfulness is saying what you mean what you say, and we go a little bit deeper by saying it's the highest value that God has. It's good for anybody, anywhere, at any time,
Yeah.
and it doesn't change. So when you start getting involved with truth will come in. And if anyone is listening, if you've ever heard a sermon, wherever the sermon is true, you don't have a problem with it. But truthfulness will go down and find out where you crooked. And truthfulness will stay there till you address it.
Right.
And because truthfulness is designed to straighten you up and make you valuable. And wherever you're not truthful is where you're going to have a value conflict.
Right.
Because truthfulness is what allows your value to flow with the other core values. So my wife and I, even as we drive down the street, we use the term, it is true, or it is not true. So my wife would say, well, there's a whole lot of people were taking a look at the fact that you did ABC, and I would say that's just not true. And she said, well, half of the people, and I would say, that's not true. And then she would say, well, okay, let me just tell you the way it is. And then she said, they just don't like you, your hair wasn't combed. And I say, that was true. You see what I mean? But the discussion is not based on whether I want to hear it or not. The discussion is based on whether it's true or not. Even in this, well, it's true. And so when I say something to her, and she doesn't like it, she'll say, that's just not true. I say, okay, let me review that. Because truthfulness becomes the referee.
Yeah.
So those are our 5 core values that we're not going to enter into our kingdom philosophy.
All right, welcome back to Chat with PAK, where we're changing the inner city one family at a time. Also reminding you that if you change the way they think, you'll change what they do. I didn't say that right. I'm gonna get that little line right.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're back, and we want to remind you that if you want to know more about us, then you can dial our office number at 713-784-6055. That's 713-784-6055. Monday through Friday, somebody will be here to answer your phone call, and we love to dialogue, talk with you about our programs and about our ministry, and tell you how you can get involved, especially pastors out there. We emphasize pastors because we know when we connect to you, we're connecting to a whole lot of people. And that's the name of the game, is to take the ministry of Christ as broad and as far as we can take it. You also can contact us on the World Wide Web, through World Wide Web, and that address, Harry?
That's going to be chatwithpak.org, chatwithpak.org. And you can also visit us on our YouTube channel with this JAOM Productions, JAOM Productions.
All right. So we're talking about what we call the core values of our program. If we can get these core values into a person, communicate them, and they practice them, it simply changes your life. It certainly, just coming through our classroom, usually changes people's mindset. They come to understand why life is kind of failing for them, why their efforts are failing. And these core values, we put them really in a little acronym that we call FITS.
Yeah.
And so FITSS.
Yeah.
And that's a good memory device. Faithfulness, integrity, truthfulness, servanthood, and stewardship. Or is it stewardship and servanthood?
We usually do stewardship and then servanthood because I think in one of our previous discussions, we agreed the fact that servanthood encompasses all of the first 4. If we get that servanthood aspect down, it encompasses the other 4.
All right. Somehow I knew that, but
I can say it.
there is no guarantee that I won't mix them up again.
Actually, we work from that perspective when I'm in the classroom, and we start with the faithfulness aspect because we start from a occupational context. And we're saying the first thing to do is if I can get to the job on time, then I can do what I need to do like the boss has told me to do. And that will demonstrate and flow into integrity because I told the boss, I will be here at 7 o'clock and be ready to work at 7 o'clock and not show up at 6:55. Gotta go get some coffee, gotta talk to everybody around the little coffee pot and all that kind of stuff, water cooler. And then at 7:08, I'm ready to go to work. But then faithfulness is saying, I'm ready to work at 7 o'clock. That means that I'll get to work at 6:30, drink my coffee, do all my talking, and then I'm at my station prepared to go to work, whatever that work is entailed. And that flows into my integrity to mean that, hey, I'm gonna do what's right, and that is right because I told them I would be there at that time. That's how we kind of work it when I'm in the classroom.
We call it kingdom values because what we want to do is separate the values from a building or a class. That it works in a kingdom, and the kingdom has a king, and everybody is subject to the king. And so wherever you are, whether you're in the building, outside the building, in the workplace, in your family, wherever you are, the principles work.
Right.
And so we understand, so we always point out these are kingdom values. And they'll work in the marketplace, you know, they'll work in your community and they'll work in your family, but they first have to work in your personal life.
Right.
And when you set up kingdom values, it's not restricted to any area of your life.
Right.
I like to say it'll affect every area of your life.
And we put those every areas into the 5 areas.
Well, let me kind of stay with you on. We're gonna flow into that. Because when this program, when it became popular at some point, our program, it kind of spread it out there, and it became so because a fellow came to us and was expressing to us that he was giving people jobs, and particularly African Americans, and he was trying to figure out how could he retain African American in employment because it was just becoming a revolving door.
Right.
And so he discovered these values. He said, "This is the exact stuff. This is the secret sauce. This is the stuff we need in order to be able to retain African American employment long enough for them to increase in value." As a matter of fact, first they gain value just to be able to stay, but they increase in value and be able to go up the corporate ladder or what have you. And so let's take it because our entry point was the workplace. And then from the workplace, let's talk about how that does spread into the family when he goes home. And hopefully he goes to attends church and is in the church. So let's talk about how that helped those people in the workplace and then how it went home.
Well, we had to change it because the people in the workplace, when they received it, they wouldn't go home. When they got the value, they only saw the value as it related to them staying in the class. And then when they got home, they have no need for it because they put the values in a place, as Pastor Marshall said. They didn't put the value in a kingdom context, which we were talking about the 5 areas. Because if he had put them in the 5 areas, there were 2 areas that he would not have skipped. He wouldn't have skipped the first one, which we put into him, change what he thinks and change what he does. But then when he skipped the family and went to work, he had no vision to tie those values to. So he didn't have to go home, he'd go to his girlfriend's house, which means he still had non-achiever values in the workplace. And that happened, that was the result of what happened when we had the first group of people who got hired. But they would go to work. They would only work for about 6 or 7 weeks. So we had to switch it and make the family top priority. That's why we call it the family ministry concept, because if we create the family environment, which is the second piece, when he goes to work, he can tie the money to home instead of tying the money to his play pretty. My mama used to say, you gotta play pretty. Or his car, but he didn't tie it to a whole family construct. So when we saw that, we recognized that we were not gonna change the inner city if he can't go back to his family with it.
Right.
Okay, so, and I don't wanna turn it too hard toward
Yeah.
this, but it basically goes to something that we talk about, which is image.
Yes.
And so he tied it to the image of what he saw himself
That's right.
as, which is a playboy
Right.
instead of a father
That's
and
exactly.
a husband and a father and a proper one.
It's a major piece not to forget. That's a major piece not to forget because that was the imagery that he had before he came to the program. While he got the good values there, he still didn't get the behavior pattern that he needed. And so we tied it to the fact that we had to put more prayer element in it because it's God that saves.
Right.
Not what we do in the class to save, God got to save.
Right.
And so we are trying to tie that whole thing to where we get a family prayer kind of thing up, so that as he sees the value of his vision in his home, he'll bring the paycheck home. So the values was only as good as we got some 3 paychecks.
You know, one of the things that helped with that is that we start allowing families to come and sit in the class.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then they understood
Yeah,
the concept of the principles
yeah,
and that they would begin to be encouraged
yes,
that the one they thought was dysfunctional, and they understood his dysfunction and they understood their own dysfunction.
yes,
Then we start, you start allowing, having graduation and inviting the whole family and everybody connected to them. And then at the graduation, what you would do, you would kind of give a brief teaching of what the lesson was. So the whole family and some of their cousins and and some of the baby mamas and everybody would get some of the teaching, and they said, this, you know, this can work
yeah,
in our lives. And as we said earlier, it distanced them from the class
yeah,
as a concept of this is just a class I'm taking to get a job.
right,
And the job is just so I can make money, because we had to go all the way to Mississippi to
right,
let them know that your first move is not to buy you a new cell phone. You know what I'm saying? You need to
Right.
buy you something to get to work. You know, 5 of y'all come down in one car, but you can't keep traveling like that.
right,
So there was backup, to the class to help distance them from this. I took the class and I finished the class, and now I can go to work. And now I got to get along after the class. I need other people to practice this concept with,
yeah,
so I can increase my value and increase their value.
right,
And then we all can come up together. And so the more that took place, the better things were.
right,
Now, some people excelled at it and some didn't, but it's good to hear from folks that's still doing well
yeah,
because they applied the values and their families increased and they are still walking in those values.
right,
The not going too far, but a part of that to take it away from the classroom, we instituted that piece called transition.
Yeah.
Our definition of transition is moving from instability to stability in such a way that you repeat the process. And that you want to incorporate that principle in other people around you to better support your continual change. That's what that helped also to get it out of the classroom. So it's just not a classroom piece, that I gotta learn how to make those around me functional or stable in such a way that I can continue to progress and they can too. So they're moving it away from just a classroom setting.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, sometimes we take for granted that people have personal value. But in teaching the class, I found one of the things that they had a personal value, but it was a negative personal value. You know, you can't produce a healthy family if your value is being a player.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you won't know how to be a good steward of what you have if your value is based on your street cred. So some of the people that took the class finally woke up to saying, you know, I can do this in a legitimate way.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to get shot at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can put these values in my life and I can be valuable to my family because we were talking to guys who they weren't even safe in their family.
Right.
You know, so they could go back to their family and say, you know, I've changed. I look at myself differently, and I look at you guys differently. You know, and they would grow from that point, have personal value for themselves that had nothing to do with their past life, and that made them valuable in the workplace.
Yeah. When I do with that piece, the person that does not have value in themselves, I use Romans chapter 12, verse 3. I know it talks about not thinking more highly of yourself, but it also says to think soberly. Right. I say think rightly. So I say that God says you can't think too high of yourself, but you also can't think less of yourself. You got to see yourself as I see you, and incorporating those 5 core values, that faithfulness, integrity, truthfulness, stewardship, and servanthood. Those brings value to you. Now you see yourself in a right manner, the way God sees you, and that ought to lift you out of that non-achiever value that you may be having. I use that they can actually go to the Word, because we're still talking about kingdom values. Now here's a scripture that kind of supports what I'm trying to say, especially those who don't see themselves as being much of anything. That God has said you're somebody in His kingdom. You just need to find out what He says about it.
Where we're changing the inner city one family at a time. And remind you, if you change what they think, you'll change what they do. All right, you can contact us if you want to know more information about this program. You're very interested in what you hear. Well, we're excited to talk to you, to hear from you, and get you involved if you want to be involved in what we do, especially pastors, because pastors have many people that they touch, and if we can touch one person that touches many to help them get what their vision, get their vision accomplished, then that's what we do here. We're not coming to take over anything. We're just coming alongside you. Matter of fact, that's what this is, a parachurch ministry, and we come alongside of you in order to help you get what you need done. And we are all about changing the inner city one family at a time. So contact us, call us, 713-784-6055. That's Monday through Friday. You also can visit us on the World Wide Web, a plethora of information. They like that word, plethora.
We got a bunch of stuff there.
There's a bunch of stuff there, okay. On the World Wide Web, there's materials that can be downloaded, there's information that can be read, as well as contact information. Tell us how to contact us on the web, Harry.
That's going to be chatwithpak.org, chatwithpak.org, PAK.org. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel. That's going to be JAOM Productions, JAOM Productions. And we're asking that you subscribe to us and leave comments. Let us know how you enjoy the information, how we can be a further blessing to you as well. Topics that we may want to hear and discuss from this vantage point.
All right. Again, we're talking about these core values that when these things become resident in your thinking, and they become habitual. That wow, you'll see your life literally change. This is not some philosophical mumbo jumbo, but this is the characteristics of Jesus Christ himself. He was faithful. He had integrity. He was absolutely truthful. I love that because last night in Bible study, we kept seeing those very, very, truly. Say, I am telling you the truth. Jesus didn't wait for you to say amen. He said amen, amen. Now, because I'm talking, And so he was absolutely truthful. And then stewardship,
Greatest among you can become a steward.
the best stewardship of Jesus Christ is how he handled us.
That's true.
He handled us like he handled himself. And lastly, servanthood. And so those are the things that we teach in order for a person to become valuable to their employee, to their family, to their church. To their community. And then, of course, you talk about to yourself. Because you will have a greater view of yourself as you accomplish things. The key to, and we're not talking about self-esteem. We're talking about self-worth. And that's a great difference, And that word, as your worth increases, as people, because we're talking about people who basically come to you and say, man, you're doing a great job. Man, I need you to do this because you're good at it. That's what, and that's everybody lives for that. Everybody lives for that. So we're going to get back into our conversation. I don't know whether
I started to say one of the things that these values do, it makes you, as Pastor Solomon said, valuable. You start having self-worth. And then you take the power out of other people's opinion of you.
Wow.
You quit saying, I can't get a job because they won't. I always, in the class, I used to say, if you ever find out they's address, let me know so I can go there and talk with them.
They live right by the main.
They have too much power. But you could see it during the class. Then the power was taken from them, and now I don't care what the obstacles is, what the obstacles are out there. I can do things. I can accomplish things. I got the tools in my hand and in myself to go and do things. And I used to share about my personal life. One time, folks didn't want to see me coming. And then one time, after the Lord did some work, and now I got too many keys because now I got to work too hard, trying to help everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you come now. My worth is not in the eyes. Kind of like the Israelites when going in the Promised Land. They sent the spies in. They said, "We look like grass." You don't know how they look at you. You done made a self-determination that folks don't like you. They can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But Joshua and Caleb didn't have those issues.
No, they didn't.
You know what I'm saying? We got God on our side, and it don't matter how they look at us. We can take these boys. And so when you know you got God on your side, and as Brother Wilfred said, our president said, and you got prayer behind you, you can go take over some things. And things that have been denied from you, you're not worried about who's sitting in office and what party is this, you can go. All the normal excuses that we normally make in the hood, you cast them down and say, they're there and they are real, but this God that's behind me is bigger than all of them.
When you said that, and mentioned the children, it made me think about when they were in Deuteronomy, they were getting ready to go into the promised land, and Moses called them together, and he says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord God is one." So what he wanted to do, he wanted to hear God, and then he wanted to obey God, and then he wanted to teach. You know, and it says, you teach your little ones. And so that's what it is when we have these family values and they become personal. You know who you are, that you can be an example, because it's all about being an example. Everything we're talking about here is being an example in the workplace, being an example in the home. And I'm going to say this because African-American children, number one, in trouble, but African-American children are in trouble because of the example they get. And if we can take these core values, because that's all that God wanted the Israelites to do. He said, look, y'all about to go over in the land, you're going to be over here with wells you didn't dig and gardens you didn't plant and all this and house you didn't build. And when you go over there, don't change what you know. Don't change your thing. Now, in this case, we're retraining people into what they think, because we've come over into the land, picked up the values of the world, and now somebody needs to realize this isn't working. And that's what this class is about with us. With PAK, we're here because this isn't working, and when you have these core values, truthfulness, servanthood, faithfulness, stewardship, and one more. I missed it. Okay.
You went too fast.
I went too fast. You know, but when you have these core values and they're real in your life, and you experience some work, you know, that's when we can turn our the inner city around, because that's what this is about. Turn it around, be an example, but it has to come with God. And mentioned a few minutes ago, we pray.
Well, I like the sermon that's formulated here, that grasshoppers don't get the promise.
I'm gonna get that first. I think that's what we teach. Is we're teaching you how to stop being a grasshopper and become your own giant. You know, and when you when you begin, I like what you said, when you're experiencing God working in your life, because that's the key. When you learn, and that's what we teach, and we're not just yelling at you about you need to just live right, you need to do right, because I mean people want to do that, but sometimes they don't know how to do that. And so what we're trying to do is break down, what does it mean to live right before God? What does it mean to apply the things that He would have you to apply, so that you can take the land, so that you can get the promise, so that you can walk into the place that He has prepared for you. And that's what these values do. It's not about what you're doing outside, your hands and your feet and all that. It's about what's resident on the inside that causes you to do what you need to do outside.
And what I might add is that I think the majority of our culture tied into the turn the other cheek philosophy. And they think the turn the other cheek philosophy means that they must be run over by people. Rather than realizing that once you have these values, you become a pillar that people can't run over, because if they come, it's going to be a clashing between non-achiever values and achiever values. It's really not going to matter what color they are. So your boss might have non-achiever values, but they're not going to be able, as Pastor Marshall mentioned, they're not going to be able to run over you, because if they come with no integrity, a person with integrity can see you no matter whether you're black, white, or Asian. If you don't bring integrity, then there can be a discussion about the role of integrity in the life of the person, no matter what position they have in the company. So you become the value, and probably more respected when you, as the boys, the Hebrew boys, when the king tried to make them eat some stuff. No, we don't eat that. We're not gonna touch that. And so now let us come up with a strategy so we don't have to eat it. And what they discovered was that their value was higher than the value that the king was trying to bring to them. Because the presence of God was with the boys. And so that's what the point we want to make. That is in the Bible for a reason. It's not just a good story. It's something that God is trying to show us when we stay with those values. And the only reason they had to go to the mountain in Exodus 19 was because they were supposed to get rid of Egyptian values. You know, now, here I am God, the Lord thy God. You don't have another God but me. Don't make any other images but me. You come under my law now. You don't bring Egyptian law into this. So now there was an increasing value. Everybody's talking about the law, but the law was supposed to say, this is what makes me look like God.
Yeah.
Because these are his values. And God is trying to drive that point home because we can't bring other folk out of the hood if we have hood values.
Right. Now you brought up, we're getting ready to close out here, but let me just segue into this ending by saying that turning the other cheek, you brought it up, is a power move. It's not a...
Because humility is the only thing that can do it.
Yeah, it's not weakness.
Yeah.
And two things you gotta have to turn the other cheek. You gotta first have power, you gotta have the strength to do it.
Yeah.
And then you have to have a vision. You gotta see beyond this moment.
And that's what the grasshoppers do.
You know,
Add that to the sermon.
one of the things in our class that we really used to, Pastor Crowder and I used to really hone in on the definition of a thug.
Yeah.
Is get over.
Yeah.
And the thug is not just the guy who got his pants too low.
Yeah.
The thug can have a three-piece suit on.
Yeah.
He can be in the White House.
Yeah.
He can be on
Yeah.
Wall Street.
Yeah.
He can be your boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He can be getting over.
Yeah.
You know, and the people in the class will relax because they wasn't thugs just cause they was from the hood.
That's right.
You know, if you got this get over spirit, you know, if you rise to the top and don't change your values, you're gonna be a thug.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I wish I could think of that guy that was yelling over the wall at Hezekiah. What's his name?
That was Hezekiah.
Yeah, yelling on the wall. Don't believe what Hezekiah telling you.
Yeah.
We don't took all these cities. We gonna take you down. I forget his name. I can't call it right now. But anyway, listen. We're at the end of this broadcast, and we want to share something with you. If you had 2 minutes to live, what do you need to do?
You need to ask God to forgive you of all your sins, believe in the death, burial, and physical resurrection of Jesus Christ on the cross for your sins. You need to ask the Holy Spirit to come in and take residence in your heart. And you got to recognize it's impossible to go to hell if you have received the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Ephesians chapter 1, 13 and 14.
Amen.
All right. For those of you all that's looking at Facebook, now you can go to YouTube, as Harry told us. And what's that again, Harry?
JAOM Productions. JAOM Productions.
You can go to YouTube and get all and see the videos. We're uploading them little by little. And if you're tuning in to Facebook every Thursday around 11:30, 12 o'clock, we're here. We're cutting the broadcast and we put it on Facebook Live. It's 4 or 5 cameras around here. That's why we're looking so crazy. We're looking at all the cameras, you know.
Everywhere.
And we only have one professional in the room. So we just want to make you aware that we're right here on Thursday mornings at about 11:30. You're going to find us popping up doing these videos. So tune in every Thursday around this time for Chat with PAK, where we're changing the inner city one family at a time.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning